Providence Courtroom, October 2019. Officer Marcus Dante stands at the witness stand, badge 427 visible on his chest, polished and proud. Judge Frank Caprio asks a simple question about a traffic stop timeline. Dante's hand moves to his badge. Unconscious, automatic. Body cam footage plays on the courtroom screen. Timestamp reads 3:47 p.m. Dante's sworn statement says 4:15 p.m. 28 minutes nobody can explain. Keisha Monroe, 34 schoolteacher, sits in the defendant's chair, silent, watching. Caprio pauses the footage, rewinds it, plays it again. The courtroom goes dead quiet. Dante touches his badge again, a nervous habit he's had for 11 years on the force. Gallery fills with whispers as a second camera angle shows Dante's patrol car at a completely different location during the time he claimed the stop occurred. Caprio's face changes. Confusion becomes realization. "Officer, would you like to revise your statement?" Silence stretches 14 seconds. This wasn't just a traffic stop. This was the end of a pattern 47 cases long. Frank Caprio's courtroom in Providence carried a reputation that stretched beyond Rhode Island. By 2019, after 34 years on the bench, Caprio had become something most judges never achieve, a viral phenomenon. His videos showing compassion to struggling defendants racked up millions of views. People loved him for giving second chances, for seeing humanity where the system saw only violations. What the public didn't know, Caprio had a photographic memory and a background in civil rights law. Colleagues knew he could recall case details from years prior with perfect accuracy. When Keisha Monroe's hearing landed on his docket in early October 2019, it appeared routine. Traffic violations, standard prosecution, one officer's testimony. But badge 4127 appeared in the evidence list. Something about that number stuck in Caprio's mind. The night before the hearing, he requested all body cam footage related to the case. What he found kept him in chambers until 3 a.m. Marcus Dante wore badge 4127 for 11 years. Started with the Providence Police Department in 2008. Clean record, solid arrests, no complaints. By 2019, he'd logged over 200 arrests. Impressive numbers for a traffic division officer. His internal affairs file stayed thin until September 2019, when everything changed. Detective Sarah Chen caught the case after an anonymous tip hit her supervisor's desk. Someone inside the department wanted Dante audited. Chen pulled his last 90 traffic stops and started cross-referencing body cam footage with written reports. What emerged made her physically sick. 47 stops. 31 timeline discrepancies. Every single one involved a black woman. Dante's method was simple and devastating. Pull someone over for a minor violation, then claim in his written report that the stop occurred at a different time than the body cam showed. Minor violations became major charges. Broken taillight transformed into reckless driving. Improper lane change became fleeing an officer. One name appeared 4 times in 6 months. Keisha Monroe. Same stretch of road, same officer, same pattern. Each stop, another charge. Each charge, another barrier to Monroe's career. Chen's report landed on Caprio's desk October 14, 2019. Monroe's hearing was scheduled for October 16, 48 hours to prepare. Keisha Monroe was 34 years old when Officer Dante first pulled her over in January 2019. Third-grade teacher at Hope Elementary School in Providence. Clean driving record. No criminal history. The first stop happened on Douglas Avenue during her morning commute. Broken taillight, Dante said. Monroe checked after. The light worked fine. But Dante's report claimed she'd been driving recklessly, swerving between lanes. The charge was serious enough to trigger a court date. Monroe hired a public defender, fought it, but the process dragged. March Dante pulled her over again. Same road. Illegal lane change. This time, his report said she'd fled when he activated his lights. A felony. Monroe protested. Body cam would prove otherwise, she thought. But nobody reviewed the footage. The charges stacked up. By summer 2019, Monroe had 2 pending cases, mounting legal fees, and schools were hesitating to renew her contract. Background checks showed pending charges. Interviews went cold. Her public defender noticed something finally. Same officer, badge 4127 every single time. She filed a motion to dismiss, citing a pattern of harassment. The motion landed in Caprio's courtroom. Morning of the hearing, Monroe didn't know Caprio had spent the entire night watching footage that would change everything. The anonymous USB drive arrived at Caprio's chambers in June 2019, 3 months before Monroe's hearing. No return address, no note, just a small drive containing 31 body cam clips. Caprio wasn't supposed to watch it. Evidence had to enter through proper channels. But curiosity and decades of instinct made him plug it in late one evening. Every clip featured the same officer. Badge 4127 clearly visible. Marcus Dante. Caprio watched the first 5 clips, then the next 10, then all 31 straight through. The pattern was undeniable. Traffic stops of black women, professional-looking, driving decent cars. Dante's body language consistent across every stop. Polite but cold, hand occasionally touching his badge. The timestamps on the footage didn't match the times Dante recorded in his written reports. Not even close. Some discrepancies ran 20, 30 minutes. Others showed Dante's patrol car at completely different locations during the times he claimed stops occurred. Caprio understood immediately what this meant. False testimony, perjury, civil rights violations. But he couldn't use the footage. Not yet. Not until it entered evidence legally. He locked the drive in his chamber's safe and waited. He knew Monroe's case would surface eventually. The system moves slow, but it moves. When her hearing landed on his docket in October, Caprio was ready. Detective Sarah Chen's investigation expanded through September 2019. She interviewed 12 women Dante had pulled over in the previous 18 months. The common threads were impossible to miss. All black, all professional women, teachers, nurses, accountants, all driving the same road corridor near downtown Providence. Dante's patrol route wasn't random. He'd deliberately chosen an area where Monroe and women like her commuted to work. Chen pulled more body cam footage. In clip after clip, Dante touched his badge during the stops. Unconscious, nervous gesture. The habit appeared most frequently when he was about to write a false report. Chen dug into Dante's personnel file. His arrest numbers had tripled after a 2018 performance review. The new police chief had implemented productivity metrics. Officers needed higher arrest numbers to qualify for overtime pay and promotion eligibility. Dante's arrests skyrocketed. So did his overtime. His pay increased 62% between 2018 and 2019. Chen understood the motive now. More arrests meant more money. Minor violations became major charges because major charges meant better numbers. Monroe's case had become the test case for a larger investigation. Chen contacted Monroe's public defender personally. "Don't settle," she said. "Take this to trial. Trust me." The defender asked why. Chen couldn't say yet, but she knew Caprio would see what she saw. October 16th, 2019. Hearing day arrived. Caprio's courtroom in Providence Municipal Court packed beyond normal capacity. Local news crews had received an anonymous tip about an unusual case involving police testimony. Something big was coming. Marcus Dante arrived in dress uniform, badge 4127, freshly polished, prominently displayed. He looked confident. 11 years of testimony made him comfortable on the stand. He'd done this hundreds of times. Keisha Monroe sat beside her public defender, calm but visibly exhausted. 16 months of fighting charges, losing job opportunities, watching her reputation crumble. This was her last shot. Caprio entered through the side door. Nobody in the courtroom knew he'd memorized Detective Chen's entire report. Nobody knew about the USB drive locked in his safe. The prosecution presented first. Routine traffic stop. Officer's testimony would be standard. Defendant had a history of violations. Dante took the stand, raised his right hand, swore to tell the truth. His testimony began exactly as his written report stated. He'd pulled Monroe over on Douglas Avenue at 4:15 p.m. for reckless driving. She'd been swerving between lanes. When he activated his lights, she'd accelerated briefly before stopping. Standard testimony. Confident delivery. His hand moved to his badge twice during the first 3 minutes. Then Caprio asked his first question about the timeline. Everything changed. The body cam footage played on the courtroom's projection screen. Timestamp in the bottom right corner, 3:47 p.m., crystal clear. Dante's patrol car dashboard visible, his hands on the wheel, radio chatter in the background. The stop occurred at exactly 3:47 p.m., so not 4:15 p.m. Dante's written report, submitted under oath, stated 4:15 p.m. 28 minutes. Might as well have been 28 years. Caprio paused the footage. Officer Dante, can you explain this discrepancy? Dante touched his badge. His first tell. Body cam must have malfunctioned, Your Honor. Timestamp error. Happens sometimes. Caprio nodded slowly. Let's watch another angle. He played footage from a traffic camera at the intersection where Dante claimed the stop occurred. 4:15 p.m. timestamp. Dante's patrol car wasn't there. The intersection was clear. Dante's car appeared in the frame at 3:52 p.m., 5 minutes after the body cam footage showed the stop already in progress. Courtroom went silent. 14 seconds of pure quiet. You could hear the ventilation system. Monroe's public defender stood. Your Honor, we have 30 more examples of Officer Dante's timeline discrepancies. All involve black women, all involve inflated charges. All show the same pattern. Caprio looked at Dante. Dante's hand moved to his badge again. The nervous habit he couldn't control. He realized, finally, that he was trapped. Caprio requested Detective Chen's full report be entered into evidence. The courtroom became an open examination of systematic corruption. 47 traffic stops over 18 months. 31 documented timeline manipulations. Every case involved the same officer, Marcus Dante, badge 4127. The pattern was undeniable. Dante pulled women over for minor violations, broken tail lights that worked fine, lane changes that were legal, speed violations that never happened. Then he filed reports claiming the stops occurred at different times, transforming minor violations into major charges. Reckless driving, fleeing an officer, resisting arrest. The body cam timestamps proved he lied every single time. Caprio reviewed the financial motive in open court. Dante's arrest numbers had tripled after the police chief implemented productivity metrics in 2018. Higher arrests qualified officers for overtime pay and promotions. Dante's income had increased 62% through inflated arrest statistics. Monroe's 4 stops over 6 months showed the complete pattern. Each stop, minor violation becomes major charge, timeline altered, woman's life disrupted. The system worked exactly as Dante designed it. Most defendants took plea deals rather than fight, never knowing the timestamps didn't match. Monroe refused to settle. She demanded trial. That decision exposed everything. Caprio ordered an immediate review of every case Dante had touched in 2 years. A federal prosecutor sitting in the gallery took detailed notes. Badge 4127 had just become evidence in something much larger. Badge 4127 was issued to Marcus Dante in 2008 when he graduated from the police academy. For 10 years, his record stayed clean. Solid arrests, no complaints, standard career progression. The pattern began in 2018 when Providence PD's new police chief emphasized productivity metrics at a department-wide meeting. Officers with higher arrest numbers would receive priority for overtime shifts and promotion consideration. Dante's personnel file showed the pressure clearly. He needed to increase arrest numbers or face reassignment to less desirable duties. The badge became a symbol of corruption in ways nobody anticipated. Chen discovered through interviews that Dante touched his badge during every stop where he planned to file a false report. The gesture appeared in body cam footage across dozens of cases. Behavioral tell, unconscious habit. Chen's investigation revealed 6 other officers showing similar patterns. Targeting, specific demographics, inflating charges, manipulating timelines. Monroe's case had cracked open a department-wide problem. Systemic pressure for productivity had created systemic corruption. Caprio suspended all cases involving Badge 4127 pending federal review. In open court, he ordered the badge confiscated. A bailiff walked to the witness stand, where Dante still sat, stunned and silent. The bailiff held out his hand. Dante unpinned the badge slowly. It looked smaller in the bailiff's hand than it had on Dante's chest. 11 years of career, gone. Within 72 hours of Caprio's courtroom exposure, 47 women contacted the public defender's office. Every single one had been stopped by Officer Dante. Every single one had received inflated charges. Many had taken plea deals rather than fight. Background checks showed convictions that destroyed job prospects, housing applications, educational opportunities. Lives derailed by systematic lies. Monroe's case was dismissed immediately. All charges dropped, her record cleared. But 16 months of her life were gone, job opportunities missed, legal fees paid, reputation damaged. The damage didn't disappear with the dismissal. Dante was suspended pending federal investigation. The Providence Police Department issued a terse statement about ongoing internal review. Badge 4127 became Exhibit A in a federal civil rights case that expanded beyond Dante to examine departmental policies that incentivized arrests over accuracy. Media coverage exploded. Caprio's courtroom footage went viral. The moment he paused the body cam video, the 14 seconds of silence, Dante's hand moving to his badge. 6 million views in 48 hours, then 20 million, then 40 million. Keisha Monroe became a reluctant spokesperson for the wrongly accused, giving interviews about systematic targeting and the real cost of false charges. The FBI opened a formal investigation into Providence PD. Badge 4127 sat in an evidence locker, waiting for trial. The small, scratched piece of metal had become proof of how systems fail when metrics replace justice. March 2020, federal courtroom in Providence. Marcus Dante indicted on 31 counts of perjury and civil rights violations. Badge 4127 displayed on the prosecution's evidence table, mounted in a clear case like a museum piece. 47 cases overturned. The federal government established a $2.3 million settlement fund for women whose lives Dante had damaged through false testimony. Keisha Monroe testified at the federal trial. She described 4 traffic stops over 6 months, each one eroding her sense of safety, each false charge destroying opportunities she'd worked years to build. Teaching positions she didn't get because background checks showed pending charges. Apartment applications denied. The constant fear of seeing Dante's patrol car in her rearview mirror. Dante's defense argued he was following department policy on productivity. Higher arrests were explicitly encouraged. His supervisors knew his numbers. Nobody questioned his methods until Chen's investigation. The argument failed. The jury deliberated 6 hours. Guilty on all 31 counts. 8-year federal sentence. 6 other Providence officers were indicted in related cases as the investigation expanded. The police chief resigned. The productivity metrics policy was eliminated. Badge 4127 entered the FBI's evidence vault permanently, tagged and catalogued alongside other artifacts of systematic corruption. The prosecution used it during closing arguments, held it up for the jury to see. "This is what institutional failure looks like," the prosecutor said. "Small, scratched, ordinary, deadly." Caprio's courtroom returned to normal operations by summer 2020. His viral fame continued, new videos of him showing compassion to defendants, giving second chances, seeing humanity in traffic court. But he kept a photograph of Badge 4127 in his chambers now, mounted on the wall behind his desk where only he could see it. Reminder of what almost stayed hidden. If Monroe hadn't refused to settle, if Chen hadn't received that anonymous tip, if the USB drive hadn't arrived in June, the pattern would have continued. Keisha Monroe completed her master's degree in criminal justice and became an advocate for police accountability reform. She gave lectures at law schools, testified before state legislatures, wrote op-eds about systematic targeting disguised as productivity. The anonymous tipster was never identified. Caprio suspected a fellow officer who'd watched Dante's pattern and finally couldn't stay silent. Conscience moves slower than corruption, but it moves. Providence PD reformed arrest policies completely. Productivity metrics eliminated. Body cam footage automatically reviewed by supervisors before charges filed. Timeline discrepancies flagged by software. The reforms spread to other departments across Rhode Island, then to Massachusetts, then Connecticut. Caprio received over 500 letters from people across the country claiming similar experiences, same targeting, same inflated charges, same systematic abuse hidden behind badges and authority. His viral courtroom videos now included speeches on police accountability. Compassion, he explained in interviews, requires justice first. Badge 4127 sits in an FBI evidence vault in Washington, D.C. Scratched metal, tarnished edges, retired forever. It's become a teaching tool. Federal prosecutors use photos of it in civil rights training, showing how small corruptions multiply when systems fail to provide oversight. Monroe's story is now a case study in law schools from Harvard to Stanford, examining systematic targeting, the real cost of false testimony, and how one woman's refusal to accept injustice exposed institutional failure. Caprio's courtroom moment has been viewed over 40 million times globally. People from dozens of countries have sent him messages about similar experiences with police corruption in their communities. The pattern isn't unique to Providence. It's everywhere systems prioritize metrics over truth. Marcus Dante serves his sentence in a federal prison in Pennsylvania. Eligible for parole in 2027. 47 women whose lives he damaged are rebuilding. Some filed civil suits and won settlements. Others heal quietly, avoiding publicity. A few refuse to speak about it at all. The damage doesn't disappear with convictions or settlements. Badge 4127 will never be worn again. But its number is remembered in Providence. Police recruits learn about it during training, a cautionary tale about what happens when authority becomes corruption, when badges become weapons, when productivity metrics replace human dignity. One object, one judge, one woman who wouldn't break. That's how patterns end. Not with sudden revelation, but with accumulated evidence meeting someone willing to see it clearly. Caprio's courtroom in Providence continues its work. Traffic violations, small claims, municipal disputes, the daily machinery of justice grinding forward. Badge 4127 remains in its evidence vault, a small scratched piece of metal that tells a larger story about what we choose to measure and what we choose to ignore. Monroe teaches now at a community college in Rhode Island, criminal justice and civil rights courses. She tells her students the whole story. 4 traffic stops, 16 months of fighting, 1 judge who actually looked at the evidence. She doesn't call herself a hero. She was just tired of being targeted and refused to accept the easier path. Dante's badge sits in darkness, catalogued and filed, waiting for the next federal prosecutor who needs to show a jury what systematic failure looks like. The scratches on the lower left corner, marks from 11 years of wear, tell their own story. How many stops? How many lies? How many women targeted before anyone noticed? The pattern existed because nobody looked. Monroe looked, Chen looked, Caprio looked, and badge 4127 became what it always was underneath the polish. Evidence that authority without accountability is just another form of corruption. The badge stayed pinned. The pattern stayed hidden. Until it didn't.